Graphing linear equations worksheet number 1. There are two worksheets like this. Obviously one is number 1 and the other one is number 2. For some of the worksheet number 1s, it doesn't actually have the number 1 on it. So if you're looking through your binder and you're finding the worksheets and you come to two graphing worksheets, the first one will be either have a number 1 or just say worksheet, and then the second one obviously says worksheet number 2. There's really no lesson that goes with this worksheet. It is a continuation of what I showed you in the proportional relationships notes and worksheet. I'm going to bring up the worksheet now. It was question number 30, graphing using equations that are in slope-intercept form, which is what all the equations here are on this worksheet. So we did this. I showed you how to use the slope and where to start and so forth, but I wanted to go over it in more detail in this worksheet. So I'm going to do all of worksheet number 1 with you, and then worksheet number 2 you'll be on your own. So first of all, pause your video and get all of that written down. When an equation is in slope-intercept form, slope is in front of x and the y-intercept is behind x. Slope is in front of x and the y-intercept is behind x. So m means slope, which is your rise over run, and the number at the end is your y-intercept, which is your starting point on the y-axis. One more thing I need to go over. The slope is rise over run. We read left to right, so that's the way we start our graph. In other words, pause your video and write that down at the top. Okay, so slope. Your first movement is either up or down. So you start at the y-axis, wherever the point is on the y-axis. And from that point on the y-axis, you either go up if the slope is positive, or you would go down if the slope is negative. Up if it's positive, down if it is negative. And you always go to the right. So again, your slope is up and to the right or down and to the right. I'll show you what I mean in the example. So let's look at question number 1. I already boxed the slope. Our slope for this problem is 3. And our y-intercept is at the end. And notice how I circled the negative with the 2. That's because that minus 2 means it's a negative 2. So our y-intercept is negative 2. Now for our slope is rise over run. So we need it to be a fraction. This is one of those times where we need the number to be a fraction. So when they give you a slope that is a whole number, the first thing you want to do is you want to make it a fraction. To make a whole number a fraction, you put it over 1. I want you to notice that our slope is a positive number, which means our graph will be going upward. Now we're not going to write this down all the time, but I want you to write it down for the first couple examples. So our slope is positive. It's a positive 3, which means it will be going upward. The negative 2 is where we start on the y-axis. So we're going to start at negative 2 on the y-axis. Remember, here's your y-axis. Here's the origin in the middle. So negative 2 would go from the origin and go down 2. And put a point. Now, from that point, we're going to use the slope of 3 over 1. So again, remember, the first movement is up if it's positive, down if it's negative. Well, it's positive, so we'll go up and then to the right. So what this means is we're going to go up 3, then to the right 1. We're going to go up 3 and then to the right 1. So I go up 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. Put a point. Don't draw these lines, but I just want to show you. 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, next point. Same thing. We're going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, over 1. Now, I'm just going to make mine a little bit more centered. Okay. So I've gone up and to the right as far as I can go. Up and to the right as far as I can go. Well, a line is continuous in both directions. So now that we've gone up and to the right as far as we can go, we're going to switch it up and do the opposite. So we go back to our starting point here. Go back to that starting point, and instead of going up 3, we will go down 3. And instead of going to the right 1, we'll go to the left 1. So we're now going the opposite direction. So I go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then to the left 1. Now, if you're doing this on paper, you must use your straight edge. If you don't use a straight edge, you will get points taken off. If the lines are wavy and crooked, you won't get full credit. Please make sure you're using a straight edge. If you're using notability, that's when you draw a line, draw a line and then just hold it, and it'll go straight for you. So I'm going to now draw my line through these points. Now, how I do this is I start in the middle of one point. I draw, hold it, make sure it's straight, and notice how I'm outside of the grid lines up here. Notice how it's outside the grid lines. Then what I do is I take this bottom and I extend it outside the grid lines on the bottom. All right. When you're done, the last thing you need to do is put your arrows on both ends. Please make sure your line is straight. Okay, so that is it for question number 1. You need to make sure you have everything written down. We are doing this completely together, so to get the full credit, you must write everything I wrote down. Everything, including the arrows, including this off to the side. Make sure you have it all written down, please. If you have any questions, let me know.